2013 question number 4. This says, what are the advantages and disadvantages of a flexible exchange rate system? Lazy 11. This is coming directly from your theory. You by heart your theory, you can write. Okay. So what kind of advantages do we have in a flexible exchange rate system or a floating exchange rate system? Give me a few, Laman. What kind of things? One thing you can say that the BOP automatically balances. That is one. You can say in a flexible exchange rate system that the BOP will automatically balance. You will not have any surpluses or deficit. External stability is protected. Okay. Given that the BOP is balanced, you can connect that with external stability. You can say this would result with some sort of external stability. Yes, you can say the exchange rate will, let's say, reveal the true exchange rate or will show the real exchange rate of the country. There will not be any overvaluation. There won't be any overvaluation or undervaluation. You can highlight that. No overvaluation, no undervaluation. And yes, you can say the central bank does not have to maintain, right? Not have to maintain reserves. They don't have to maintain reserves to intervene with the foreign currency. And then you can say yes, efficient distribution of resources because the exchange rate is let's say showing the true picture. You can say things like that, Lama. So ideally, maybe now they are giving 4 marks now. So ideally, maybe I would say 4 advantages, 4 disadvantages would have been a better one. Okay, so here we'll write one more. Efficient distribution of resources. So maybe either they should give you 2, they will give you 2 marks, 2 points, 2 points, or they can give half a mark each, 4 points, 4 points. So again, given they are saying what, you don't have to go into detail into explaining. You can give like a small one-liner explanation. It doesn't have to be paragraph form. You can just say, now for example, BOP automatically balances. Put a dash and say, in a floating exchange rate or a flexible exchange rate system, there will not be BOP surpluses or deficit. Small one line like that is enough. Should be okay. Can you give me the disadvantages? What kind of things do we have there? Yes, you can talk about uncertainties over investors and creditors. You can say that. Okay. Uncertainties over investment. What else? Yes, that discourages specialization. You can talk about things like this. Speculation. Speculation is encouraged. So you can say yes, due to uncertainties, FDIs are discouraged. Yes. You can also say less incentive to control costs. Or for example, inflation. Now, for example, in Sri Lanka, if you allow the exchange rate to freely float, we know our exchange rate will continue to depreciate. So then our exporters know, if the exchange rate depreciates anyway, what happens? They get benefited, the exports become cheap. No, there is no incentive for the exporters to reduce their cost and keep inflation down. There is no incentive for them. They will also, they know, right, no problem. It will keep on depreciating, so it's fine for us. Yes, you can talk about a barrier to promote international trade due to high levels of fluctuations. You can talk about all of that. Okay, so ideally 4 and 4 I feel should be okay, but 4 and 4 is also a little too much. Ideally, it will be 2 and 2, but to be on the safer side, we don't know. When we read the question, how do we know whether the examiner is giving 1 mark, 1 mark, 1 mark, 1 mark, or are they giving half, half, half? The lowest they can give is half number. There is no quarter mark in your paper. So, give me a second. Sorry, I'm having a really bad cold. My voice is still gone. So, they're not going to give you quarter mark, anywhere, don't worry. The lowest that they can give you is a half a mark. So, if they give half a mark, then it's going to be 2 marks, 2 marks. So, maximum half a mark into 4 points. Maximum. So, just have those small things in mind. Right, that is done. Okay, now this one we'll talk about the current thing in Sri Lanka. Examine advantages. Yes, advantages of fixed you can convert into disadvantages of a floating. But you have to properly convert it. You can't just write the same thing. Okay. Examine the recent trends in export earnings and import spending of Sri Lanka. What factors have contributed large trade deficit at present? Now, in Sri Lanka, right now, we don't have a very large trade deficit. If you look at in 2022 and even currently, trade deficit has got narrowed compared to what it was. I'm not saying that we don't have a trade deficit. So if you're talking about the 2022, 2023 context, currently trade deficit has narrowed. So they might not ask you why the trade deficit has widened. Okay, so I'm just talking about the current situation. Trade deficit has narrowed. Okay. So, but still we have a deficit. I'm not saying that we have a surplus. I'm saying we have a deficit, but compared to previous years, earlier, now the deficit has narrowed. So can you tell me, Lamai, trends in export earnings? So export earnings, what and what has happened? What has happened in our export earnings? One thing that you can definitely highlight is the fact that there is a global recession. Remember, the fact that US is undergoing a recession, Europe is undergoing a recession. So you can highlight the fact there and you can say uh, demand for certain exports, especially things like textiles, have uh, fallen. Why? Due to recessions where? Recessions in the US and European market. You can highlight that. Then you can talk about uh, merchandise exports have increased not much though, but you can talk a little bit. You can say again, Sri Lanka's. So when you say recent trends, Lama, you can back up your answer with some numbers. Okay, you can say this. Yes, you can say yes. Tea exports and all have fallen due to things like what, the Russian-Ukraine war that was there. Mm, no, and then also due to the low levels of productivity. What else can we talk about? Export earnings. I mean, these things you can get from the CBSL report, right? I'm hoping you all would have taken some time to at least once go through. Let me just show you. Go to the CBSL report. Go to publications, annual report 2022. If you want, even you can even go to the presentation slides. I would have shared this in the group also. This gives like a summary. Okay, is there in your group. This is from the central bank report itself. They have taken screenshots and put. Here, let me show you export. They haven't highlighted these ones much. we'll go to this one, the CBSL report itself. External sector development. Here you can see them. Here you will see, for example, what has happened to Sri Lanka's export. So here see, compared to so you can give some numbers, have rough numbers about how much Sri Lanka's exports are. Lama. Here see, in 2021, our total exports is 12.5 billion US dollars. In 2022, it has increased to 13.1 billion US. So there has been some sort of a increase there. And then you can also talk about what would have happened. So they would highlight here. See, and also you can highlight this line. So in terms of our trade, remember I told you our trade deficit has come down here. In 2022, we've had the lowest trade deficit since 2010. The lowest merchandise trade deficit since 2010 was recorded in 2022. Okay, so as a result of this, what has happened? Our current account deficit also has widened. So here, our trade deficit has reduced from 5,185 reduced to 5,185 million from 8,139 million. So don't remember the millions, you can say approximately from 8 billion to 5 billion our trade deficit has reduced. So why was this here? Reasons due to a significant decrease in expenditure on imports, okay, and also a notable growth from merchandise exports. So this is what you can write in your answer. Your answer is asking about the trade deficit. So currently talk about trade deficit narrowing, say that our exports have increased from here to here. And then also you can talk about imports. Yes, you know, my imports have fallen. No, in 2021, our imports were 20 billion. Yep. Look at that bar kind of thing. Here, 20 billion. In 2022, it's only 18.3 billion. Imports have fallen. Exports have increased. Imports have come down. And as a result, what has happened? Our trade deficit has come down. So, and you can also highlight the fact that, look here, this is the lowest trade deficit that we have had since 2022. Therefore, this can be a main area. So, usually they test you. Now, in 2013, why did they test this, Lamai? In 2013, they tested the widening trade deficit because in 2011, the trade deficit widened. In 2011, our imports increased very much. Our trade deficit widened. So, now maybe they can convert this into a current context into a recent year and ask, why did the trade deficit reduce? So you can have a small read and get your answer. We'll anyway cover this in the final seminar as well, given that there is no other class for me to cover this, but it should be there in your tunes that you study also. Hopefully your teachers have talked about things like that. So then in terms of imports, Lama, you mainly have to say that our imports have decreased. Why? One, due to the depreciation. Because the depreciation now it's very expensive to import. No? That's one reason. Another reason is the import restriction that they have. Third reason is because of that margin requirement. Remember, I spoke about that in one of the classes where if you had to import, you had to keep, there was a 100% margin requirement. So all of those have drastically reduced import. You can talk about reasons like that. And then that should be completely fine. Is that okay? So I'm repeating, in your year currently 2022 or the 2023 paper, they won't say the trade deficit has widened, they will say the trade deficit has reduced. It's a more favorable thing. If they ask, they can